Hello and welcome. My name's Neve. I welcome you to the Connection Before Content, Designing Experiential Online Workshops that Enhance Community Engagement session. I'm an Associate Kapia and I'll be your host today. I'm really looking forward to handing you over shortly to Trudi and Kate from Serious Woo. They've got a great session planned for you today. To begin our session, I acknowledge the Wurundjeri as the traditional custodians of the land I'm standing upon, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging. I'd also like to welcome elders from other communities who might be in our session. I've just got a couple of things that I'd like to share with you before we embark on our experiential journey with Kate and Trudi. So we are recording today's session. For those who would like to receive a copy, you will need to sign up to our newsletter. Eliza's just posting a link in the chat. And you can also join your peers on Facebook. So we're hoping to create some connections between our participants between sessions. So that link is also in the chat now. Again, I'd encourage you to keep chatting with each other before and after during the sessions. I would love to keep the conversation going as we turn it up. So your presenters today are from Serious Woo. Who is Serious Woo? They are an experiential learning organisation that made a solemn vow never to deliver online. So I believe they're breaking that vow today. Their arts-based approach would never translate, nor would their high-energy workshops. 100% cancellation rate of their 2020 bookings made them open up to experimenting. So they ate their hats and they never looked back. So let's sit back and learn how Serious Woo have employed their own ethos of play. I myself have been a participant in one of their workshops, but I've also been a partner with them in designing experiential workshops. So I'd like to hand over now to Trudi and Kate to get the session started.
Yay, thank you, Neve. Thank you, everybody. It is lovely to see you all this morning. Yes, as Neve said, my name is Trudi. This is Kate, my business partner, and we are Serious Woo. We will be spending the next hour with you talking about connection before content. And just like the community that you engage with, we are going to be asking for you to engage with us today. So before we start, there is just a little bit of netiquette that we would like to discuss with you. We ask that if we're doing activities together, could you please leave your screen on? It just really helps everybody connect with each other, and we love to see your beautiful faces. So please, if you could turn your screen on, we would very much appreciate it. Thank you. Look at everybody. There's everybody. Great. Nice to see you. If you have a question at all during the session, rather than wait to the end, just stick it in the chat when you think about it, so you don't forget. Both myself and Kate will be manning the chat as we go through this hour, and we will answer your questions at the end. But feel free to stick it in there at any time, and we'll just keep looking at that. The other thing is, if you need to step away from the screen, that's absolutely fine, because we do all have cats and dogs and partners and whatnot. No children anymore, yay, but the rest of the family are still around, so that's perfectly fine. And the other thing that I would like to add is that if at any stage we draw attention to you or ask you a question or put the focus on you, and for some reason you're not paying 100% attention, which does happen in Zoom meetings, rather than feel awkward or feel embarrassed, we simply like you to say, sorry, I was in Phuket. Phuket is exactly where Kate and myself should be right now, hosting face-to-face workshops. So if that happens, that's perfectly fine. If you weren't listening, just say, sorry, Trudi, in Phuket, and that's no problem. Now, as Neve said, we are an experiential learning organisation. Our workshops are very active, and today is no exception. We always like to start a workshop with a warm-up just to shake off the day and get out of whatever headspace we've been in previously. So I'm going to ask you to join us in doing that now. I would like everybody, please, if you could, to stand up. If everybody could possibly stand up from their chair and adjust their computer as they need to, that would be wonderful. Thank you. I can see everybody getting to their feet. Wonderful stuff. Great. Feel free to unmute your microphones as well for this one, because any bit of giggling always helps in this little awkward world. So feel free to unmute your microphones. We're going to play a game called Heads, Shoulders, Punch and Roll. It's very simple. To start with, I'm going to say shoulders. When I do, you just simply put your hands on your shoulders. So shoulders, And I might say heads, put your hands on your heads. If I say punch, you simply punch the screen. Or roll, you simply roll your hands like this. Really easy game. Let's go. Shoulders. Punch. Punch. Roll. Heads. Shoulders. Punch. Heads. Right, far too easy for you guys. Let's change it up a bit. This time, when I say heads, you're going to put your hands on your shoulders. And when I say shoulders, you're going to put your hands on your heads. But punch and roll are going to stay the same. Here we go. Let's try this. Heads. Shoulders. Punch. Roll. Heads. Shoulders. Roll. Punch. Great. Far too easy. Let's mix up punch and roll as well. So when I say roll, you're going to punch. And when I say punch, you're going to roll. Good luck. Here we go. Shoulders. Punch. Roll. Heads. Shoulders. Roll. Punch. Shoulders. Heads. Punch. Great. Thank you, everybody. You can return give your body a little shake. It's just a nice way to clear our minds from our previous day that we've been on. Now, we're here today to tell you about our story. Our background is an arts background, so we are actually going to tell you the story of how we ended up being here today. But we are also going to ask for your help. You are all going to be now our soundtrack, our special effects, or our Foley. So at the beginning of this workshop, we had a questionnaire up for you. We asked you to stamp or comment on something that you don't miss about community meetings. I'd like you to take a moment to remember which one you chose. If you didn't choose one, I'm going to read them out, and if it sounds like you, join the group. If you chose the stony glare of non-participation, could you please put your hands on your heads? If that was the option that you chose. Great. Now, you are going to be the red group. So could you please unmute yourselves? And when I hold up this, you are going to all say, yay! I'd like you to have a practice, please. Here we go.
Yay!
Yay!
All right, not bad, warming up to it. All right. If you chose the everlasting question and answer, could you please put your hands on your head? Did anyone choose that? I can't see everyone, so I'm just going to hope that somebody did. Could you unmute yourselves, please, because you're going to be the blue team and you are going to say boo. Can you have a practice? Boo. Yes, we've got some. I'm just going to let everybody know we have never, ever done this before. So please bear with us because we are true to ethos. We are playing and experimenting. So this is great. If you chose the never-ending technical presentation, please put your hands on your heads. You are team yellow and your sound is ooh. Have a practice. Ooh. Great. If you chose the 20 meeting marathon, put your hands on your heads. You are the black team and you are a laugh track. So you need to say ha 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 ha. We've got
very good ha's there.
3 very dedicated laughers. And if you chose the non-stop talker, put your hands on your heads. Oh, a few of those. Yep, that's a common theme. You are the green team and you're going to say yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Great. And if you chose the white, if you chose the interjector, please put your hands on your heads. You are the white team and you are going to say, no. Let's give it a try.
No.
Right. And if you didn't choose anything and you are still on mute, shame on you. Everybody should be off mute and in a group. Are you ready? Please take your microphones off mute and get ready because we are going to tell you a story and add some soundtrack along the way. Ladies and gentlemen, the story of Serious Woo. Once upon a time, there was a face-to-face training company called Serious Woo.
Ooh.
That's right. They worked with a range of organisations to promote creativity and communication.
Yay!
It's working. They decided that even though the world was offering courses online, they would not. The no's need a bit of work. And they thought, you can't possibly build connection online. And then COVID hit.
Boo.
Everyone can join in on that one. Boo.
Boo.
And they watched an entire year's worth of work cancelled in 3 days.
Oh.
That's true. It's what happened. And you know what? They went online.
Yes.
Hey.
And they learned that actually they were wrong.
Hey.
Brilliant. They looked at the skills that they had.
Ooh.
Thank you, Felicity. Not solo ooh. Thank you. They also played around.
Yes.
Almost there. And they discovered that online communication and creativity was exactly what everyone needed in a brave new online world.
Yay!
Brilliant. And you know the best bit is business has never been better. And the best bit, ladies and gentlemen, is that we are now going to impart how we did this with everybody here. So, yay, woo, yay, woo, yay.
Hooray!
Thank you for being part of our story. Kate.
Okay, so that was obviously the Instagram version of our pivot. You know, it was very colourful and smooth. And, you know, we could leave it just at that for you, but we know that people that are involved in community engagement are deep thinkers. So we're going to go a little bit below the surface and share all the behind the scene goodness. Okay, so like pretty much everyone here, we've all had to rethink the way that we go about our business. And to be perfectly honest, we really struggled about this because we didn't really want to. We had spent a long time working with our clients to get them to really appreciate the value of face-to-face training because it's more resource intensive. But, you know, and we were still champions of a methodology that we use, which is called experiential learning. So, you know, we had to basically make a decision that if we were to move forward, we needed to pretty much destroy all the assumptions that we had around online learning so we could look at, you know, really solving our clients' current problems. So the first assumption that we had to throw out was...
The assumption was that you simply cannot build connection online in a short amount of time. And ladies and gentlemen, we are going to challenge that today. Now, you have found a tribe who has the same community engagement bugbears of you as you do from the beginning. We have seen that you've participated in some group cheerleading, and now we are going to do some speed connecting. So in a moment, Neve is about to put you all into a breakout room of about 10 people. We are going to give you 90 seconds to find something in common between you all that isn't just, oh, we all work in community engagement. So you're going to have 90 seconds as a group of 10 to find out something that you all have in common when we put you into these breakout rooms. Neve, go for it, and good luck, everyone. See you back here shortly.
Everyone went to a breakout room.
So I tried to mute everyone as quick as I could, Trudi.
I was doing the same thing going around. When I learned I could mute everyone, I was like trying to mute. It's all right. it was fine. It was just, we can do that together, Neve.
Yeah, and I've just messaged Eliza as well. So
I thought you said move, and I was like, what am I moving people? But yes, mute.
sorry, I was quickly typing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Sorry, I was doing 5 things at once here, and I was looking at the waiting room as well. But yes, I will do that.
Cool.
Are there any questions yet? No.
No. We can send a message to everyone. So do you want me to give like a minute warning now?
Yeah, do it.
So 1 minute warning to find something in common.
Yep. You all right, Kate?
Yes, sorry, I just had to burp.
Turn your microphone up just a touch. It's a little quiet.
Okay, yep. Is that better?
Maybe even a little bit more.
I'm not even sure how I do that.
Okay, no worries.
Is that better?
That's better.
Okay.
Welcome to those who've just joined. There's currently people in a breakout rooms, but they will be back in a couple of seconds, so no worries.
I think I might have just put them in.
Oh, okay.
Stress, there's so many things to do.
Yeah, there's lots of moving parts.
Multitask is massive. But we're doing good for time.
Yeah, you're on track. Yeah, I'll just try to keep my intro like so quick just to get into it.
It's good. We're nice on track, Kate.
Yeah, we're early at the moment, so that'll be good.
Great.
Have Q&A.
Great.
Should I do 20-second warning now? Or?
Yeah, pull them back in. I think it takes a few minutes anyway to bring them back in, doesn't it?
Yep. All right.
Do it.
I've hit the button.
Yes.
So that
the connection's going to be.
Welcome back.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back. May I ask, Emma Louise Smith, you're smiling. May I ask, what did you find connection in your group? What happened? There's a little smirk going on.
Yeah, we did, and I was thinking, shit, I should have written them down. So we all like cake, which I think everyone likes cake. We're all working from home. We all have been having a bit of grey hair.
Yeah.
And there were other things, but I can't remember. I was just happy seeing people's faces, to be honest.
Fantastic. All right, great. Good to hear. How about you? Let's say Karina Thomas. Can I ask you, what did you find anything in your group?
We said we all liked chocolate. We liked that as the favorite option. We did also figure out that we all breathe air, so that's something we have in common.
Yeah.
It was something else as well. I can't remember what, but yeah, those are the two that I noted.
Fabulous. All right, so it doesn't take long. Great. And let's find Robin Green. Could I ask you, what did your group find out?
Our group was pretty quick, actually, which was good. We found out that we all lived in Victoria, and I think mostly, no, it wasn't all Metro Melbourne. And we also discovered we'd all been to uni, and we'd all been overseas. So it was good.
Great, fantastic. Isn't it incredible? 90 seconds and what you can find out about people. Great. If anyone else, any groups that I haven't spoken to, would love to pop their information in the chat. We'd love to find out how you worked out you were all connected as humans in a 90-second period, because it's really, really fabulous to see people instantly connect. It doesn't take us much. Kate?
Absolutely. And, you know, when lockdown, so we'll say version 1 for the Victorians, a lot of Victorians in the room, but when the original lockdown, original and the best, started, it was a shock for us all, and we were looking for ways to offer our community something to kind of feel like they were connected, help them reduce the anxiety that they were feeling about, what's next, and just that real feeling of sudden extreme isolation that we had. So we had to think, and we came up with this idea of doing some short videos, and they were going to be called isolation breakers. And look, they were simply exercises that people could do. They were creative, a bit mindful, and they came from some of the face-to-face workshops that we do. So we decided we just filmed them in a very traditional way, put them on our website and shared them on our socials. And we were really glad. We got some nice feedback, and they really resonated with people at the time. So that was kind of our first thing we did. Then, interestingly, we were then approached by one of our clients we'd done a lot of face-to-face workshops for, and they asked us to design some online facilitation training for their team. And we had to go to a completely new level of like experimentation and play, because this was not a medium that we had worked in. And that was by choice, really. It just wasn't our jam. But we were also really aware that our audience was super affected by the start of 2020, which was the bushfires. So we had this audience that were really feeling dislocated and isolated, and at that stage a bit abandoned, really, because we'd all moved on to COVID. And now we were basically asking them to, on top of how they felt, learn all these new things about technology and doing their job in a different way. So we really reflected on this, because we felt the challenge for us was, okay, we need to design a workshop that transfers skills, but we really wanted to be able to instill confidence and trust in a group of really exhausted people. And these people were then going to use their facilitation skills to engage another cohort of exhausted people. So we really felt that the feeling of safety and security and connection in the group was actually the most important thing that we could foster before teaching them the skills. So this is how we designed the course. And it was really, really well received. And based on the feedback, we really believe that if we hadn't built the trust and engagement first within the group, we would not have been able to transfer those skills to them and get them to participate so well. So we were buoyed by this feedback. Wow, we can do online now. But we really felt that we needed to explore the space more deeply, because this is a really, really complex world. There are so many lenses. So if you think about it, there's this real pressure, the online camera presenter lens that we all have to kind of manage. There's engaging with the audience. There's being the educator. There's the instructional design that needs to be involved. There's how do you bring the participation? How do you move people to actually start playing and doing things that they wouldn't normally do in this space? So to try and make sense of this and marry all the different roles, we went back to our arts roots to see how we could bring it all together in a meaningful way in a medium that we were still considering pretty soul-destroying.
Yes. So as Kate said, we leant back into our arts backgrounds. Now, my background's theatre predominantly, and this was certainly not a black box that I was used to. And so what we did was we continued to play. And while we were playing to help make facilitators do the transition from live facilitation to online space, we actually learned that people were more up for playing online, well, sometimes more up for playing online than they were in person. They were certainly more in need of play online than they were in person. And we actually discovered that the more and more facilitation activities we based around our improvisation and our playing, the more we were solving a problem that organisations right across the field were feeling, and that is this brand new dislocation of newly formed remote working teams. Because what's happened is COVID has smashed us all apart, and we suddenly realised that what teams needed was connection, that it was really vital that teams connected. And we were doing it. We were doing it through our improvisation and our play. It was almost like we fell on the secret ingredient by accident. So we developed what Kate will now tell you is isolation breakers. So we decided to put together 30 minutes of team building activities that were simply bound up by connection, fun, and play. Ladies and gentlemen, I have to tell you that we have had over 200 people regularly engage in our isolation breakers since its launch, and results are in. We have had 75% of participants feel more connected to their team after their session. 50% of people saw a direct application of activities to their own meetings and workshops. 75% of participants felt the session gave them the opportunity to relax and have fun with their team. And an astounding 95% of people felt more energized after the session. Now, when you consider how tiring Zoom is to have 95% of our participants feel more energized, we certainly realize that our isolation breakers were doing wonders. We're in a very unique situation at the moment because everybody's thinking outside the square and everybody's got an appetite for giving new things a go. And this is where we really excel, because play and improvisation are some of the things that we are best at. But we also realize through the work that we've done is that we are all really needing to connect. That need for connection is often more vital than the information we need to know, because it's something that we're all dealing with.
So today we started our story with a song. I'd really love it if I had the skills to reenact it for those of you who arrived a bit late, but it was Barbara Streisand, The Way We Were, because Trudi and I have shared a little bit with you about the way we were post-COVID. And, you know, this actually included the fact that right now we are meant to be running workshops for a corporate retreat in a resort. Can you see the sad emoji? So we may have slipped this information in at the start of our session. So what I'd like to do is see if you can remember, where was Serious Woo meant to be running a corporate retreat at this very moment? Neve, if you could launch the poll. Everyone have a think and see if you can remember where we were meant to run the retreat.
Ooh, the intense faces.
I can tell you there was people who were paying attention. So we've got probably 20 seconds left for you to add your response. And for those that joined us a bit late, it's just a bit of a stab in the dark, but I think the responses might be a bit of a clue in themselves.
Yeah, and you won't be judged, people. Take a wild guess.
I think we've even got we've got a pretty high level of engagement there. So I would like to thank you.
And while those results are coming through, there's some really great things that people, oh, look at that. Wow.
Some engaged participants here.
And Cindy, I'd like to extend my my sorrow and commiserations to you that you were meant to be in Aruba. Aruba. That would have been another good song that we could have done at the start of the session there. See if you can guess what that would be. What song has Aruba in it? Anyway, so I may have fudged the poll to make sure that everyone got the right answer, because it was in Thailand and it was on Tropical Island and it was Phuket. So thank you to the 81% of you, and thank you to everyone who got the answer right. And thank you to those people who actually got it really super correct. So what Barbara Streisand, Babs, reminded us earlier on is that sometimes our memories are a little misty watercoloured. Okay, sometimes when we look back at how things were before, they may not actually have been as good as we like to remember. And you shared this with us at the start of the session, didn't you? By listing all those things that gave you with face-to-face community engagement meetings before. So they can still be a super place of frustration and headache. And we're not doing them at the moment. And we probably will not do as many of them ever again. So how do we make the most of the situation that we find ourselves in now? We have a proposition for you to explore. Could increasing the participation, the connection between participants at the start of these community engagement meetings actually lead to increased participation? We believe so, and we've seen it happen. And we'd really, really love you to explore this in the work that you guys do. Okay, so it's coming up to lunchtime. And normally what I look forward to is an exquisitely catered conference buffet. And I know that, you know, if we were face-to-face at the moment, Kapir would be putting on a good show. They love a good spread, the Kapirians, and that's one of the many reasons why we love them. But there is none. So Trudi and I have taken it upon ourselves to at least offer you up some takeaways to go away with, okay? So look at that. Serious woo delivery. Excellent. Okay. So the first one we have here, let's have a look. Information. A bit of a takeaway for you on information. I hear you all say, yes, Kate and Trudi, connection's nice, but my boss is going to tell me I've got all this information that I need to get to the participants of my workshops so they can publicly participate in a way that's meaningful and helps me do my job. And we totally understand that and get that. We are all given so much information that we need to pass on now. It's crazy. However, we have to really think about, is this really our goal if nothing else happens after we pass this on? We have to remember we have something called a working memory, and our working memory is the memory bit that takes the information and then allows us to be able to do something with it as a consequence. And this is limited in general, but I can tell you it's been completely smashed with COVID, especially mine, and I'm sure you'll all agree. And our working memory is even more compromised when we are online. So if we do too much of one thing with people, if we spend all our time online telling people or sharing information in a certain way, all that information that they absolutely need to know in a session, they will walk away knowing less than they would if you reduce that level of information. It's sadly futile. So the information in the working memory is basically not processed. It's just gone. So what we really recommend is make sure you understand what is absolutely necessary for your workshop participants to know as far as information goes, and put the rest to one side. Develop a plan to communicate that bit of information in lots of different ways. So through exploration, through reading, through listening, through sense making. It is going to take you longer to execute. It will. But your chances for action and participation post-workshop will be a lot higher. And the experiential learning methodology that we mentioned before fits with this really nicely. So if you want information about it, please get in touch after the session. The other thing to do is really think about the time that your participants are spending in your session as super valuable. So if there's things that you can communicate either side of the workshop, so before or after, that is easy for them to digest individually, that's a great idea, because then the time you're spending together, you can really focus on that connection and also the exploration of the content. Cool. Now, Trudi, I've got a little something in here for lunch for you too. And that is presenting.
Aha. Number 2, presenting. So this is our second takeaway. There's a couple of little things that we've learned over our time, and I'm sure you have all as well. First thing, I guess, is don't be afraid to get your TV presenter on, particularly when it comes to being in front of a camera. Don't be afraid of your camera. I don't know whether you've noticed, but because I'm looking at the screen and you're looking at the screen, we never actually make serious eye contact. One of the nice little tips that you can use when you're presenting is don't be afraid to talk exactly into that little black hole at the top of your computer, especially if you want to drive a point home. It just makes people feel for a second that we are having the eye contact we used to have in the real world, and it gets that message across clearly and effectively. The other thing that we found is really good to use is to stick your prompts or your notes or whatever you use at eyeline, just because this helps build the connection online, because you're not losing eye contact. It's an interesting point if you've ever watched a performer on a stage. Even if you're sitting underneath them and they're looking right up at the back stalls, you still feel connected with them because you can see their eyes. It's all about these things. So if you've got your scripts next to you rather than down, you'll keep eye contact. Just builds that little bit of extra connection. We like to use Zoom emoticons because it gets a bit of feedback from the audience. So if you want to use, get people to put up claps or whatever, that'll just give you a little bit of time to scan the screen. And the other thing is, remember to be human. I think sometimes we all expect that we've all suddenly in the last 6 months become these gurus of online presentation, and we know that's not true. So if something happens or you try out a new exercise that doesn't quite go to plan, don't worry. We are all in this crazy upside down world together, and the more that you can connect as humans, the more you can create that connection. For instance, group 6, they all failed at making sourdough, and what a great way to connect with each other. The second point is to keep it simple. Really interesting, a virtual background like the one that we've got here today is really helpful if your audience needs to be able to identify you in a crowd, like if you've got a lot of numbers like today. It also is really handy if you've got washing in the background and you need to cover that up. My suggestion to you is, and Kate's suggestion to you would be to think about, do you really need it? Our brain has a hard enough time trying to process what's going on a screen as it is. We spend all our time on screen in fight or flight mode, and neurologically, everything's working at a faster pace, which is why we get so exhausted. When you add a screen, it adds more for the brain to process. And interestingly, they've just done a survey, it's Harvard Business Review, and they found that 73% of people find someone without a virtual background more trustworthy. So if you want to build your connection with your audience, hide your washing or come up with some kind of creative way to cover it if you can. The next thing is debriefing. You would all know that this online world is weird. You get no feedback from like you would in a normal crowd, and sometimes it can leave you feeling exhausted and deflated and a little unsure of how your workshop went down. This is particularly true if you're repeating workshops and you're dealing with complex issues or hard audiences. We just don't have the same energy connection or emotional contagion that we would normally have as humans in a room together, which is why debriefing is probably more important than it ever has been. Kate and I have a habit of debriefing every session, so even this one we'll be hanging around for. And we also keep an eye out for each other. So when Kate's talking, I'll be looking across, seeing how everyone's going, checking in on people, and vice versa. So it's always a great idea to just debrief with a colleague or a peer. If you're not co-facilitating with anyone, just have someone that you can check in with, because this continual sort of weirdness and exhaustion that comes from facilitating online can take its toll.
Absolutely. Now, our final bit of lunch takeaway is about play. So we've done some playing today. And some people absolutely love it, and some people want to vomit and die. It's just how it is. But there is something that is going on with people at the moment. There is a real, we've been quite blown away at the number of people that have actually wanted to do playful things online and how close that's brought teams and strangers together. So we absolutely get that it is challenging. And if it's not your cup of tea, here's just a few things that you can think about to try and get your head around this kind of playful mode. Because it does take courage, okay? There is, it takes courage to put yourself out there. You will fail at times. There's things today that have landed, things that haven't, but we want to evolve and we want to keep getting better. And unless we put ourselves in these situations where we can experiment, that's not going to happen. So one thing I would really recommend doing first is, if you don't know really that much about playing as adults, get your head around the science of it. There's a really amazing book that I've lent out and that hasn't been returned to me, hence my printout, by Dr. Stuart Brown, and it's called Play, How It Shapes the Brain, Opens the Imagination and Invigorates the Soul. And it's all based on academic research. He was a very accidental play researcher, and the story behind his play, which was based in interviewing prisoners, is quite mind-blowing. So I'd recommend having a look at that. The other thing to do is, hands up who's come across a study called Project Aristotle. Anyone? Excellent. Well, I really recommend that you do that as well. So Project Aristotle was a massive research study done by Google around teams and performance and trust. And you can look, there's a great New York Times article on it and a few other articles, but they looked at 180 teams to say, what's the juice that makes things work? And what is fascinating, I think, from a facilitator perspective, is it's got nothing to do with the amount of time that people have known each other. So we have these assumptions that you can only do certain things with people that know each other and feel comfortable, but they're actually not the attributes that enable high-performing teams. So another really interesting thing to look at. The other things that I would recommend is just start experimenting. So have a look at what are a couple of simple games that you know that you could start off with, or even there's card games or other board games that you can use in online settings. There's actually lots of online board games that you can play online now. Just simple, well-known things that aren't very confronting to you, just to try and experiment with. And the other thing that we did was we did some mock sessions. So we invited friends and family, people that would only humiliate us a little bit if things didn't work. And we practice things in that environment as well, just to get comfortable, see what worked and see what didn't. And the other thing that I would say is that check out YouTube, because there are a lot of activities that have been both face-to-face and online improv activities that have been uploaded online, and you can watch how they roll out and how they go. I would recommend corporate improvisation activities, and a lot of them will pop up, and use online if you're wanting to see the online ones. So obviously we are very passionate about this topic. We've seen it in action, and it brings energy, it brings exploration, and it brings connection. So I would really, really advocate for having a little play, especially while we're in this space. Excellent.
Thank you. So that is basically us. We wanted to thank you very much today for connecting with us, for connecting with each other. It's been a real honour and a privilege to share our story with you, but also hopefully leave you with some tidbits and takeaways that you can use to get more connected before you deliver your content in your online workshops. For those of you who are interested in learning more about online facilitation using the experiential learning methodology, or if you're interested in experimenting with isolation breakers with your teams, we actually have put some special offers on the website for you lucky Kapia conference participants. So you will see now that a link is going to be put up. Eliza has just put up a link in the chat, and that link will take you through to a special secret page in our workshop, in our website. And just to let you know, a little bit of a secret just between you and us, next year the pricing model for the online facilitation masterclass and the isolation breakers, that changes because they are going to be moving from pilot programs to a more permanent structure. So there's some pretty good discounts for those organisations who want to book before the 11th of December, just saying. The other thing is that we regularly share information about our practices and workshops in our quarterly newsletter. So sign up via the website, head over to our LinkedIn page, and of course, because we are all about connection, Eliza's putting all these links down in the chat. Because we are all about connection, please feel free to reach out to us and contact with us, connect up, sign up, chat with us, whatever you need to do. We'd really love to talk to you.